Oops. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. I hope I didn't let that linger too long. Since I don't have a sound cue for the film strips because they're silent, I sometimes miss the cue. Anyways, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. And I'm going to take these glasses off because there's a glare. I've been trying to experiment with different lighting so that it doesn't look as much like a mugshot. But, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, so I have a lot of film strips which are what they're called captions. So the idea is that you would read them in the class, and there's no beep. Beep is only for film strips that come with an album or a cassette that basically it reads some narration and then it beeps and tells the person who's to advance to the next thing. So these caption ones don't have that. Anyways, brain's kind of spacing a little bit. Yeah, so this next film is something that we have set up on the telecine, which is right here. And it is part of the Mischievous Marks series by Centron. Centron, of course, is our favorite educational film company from Lawrence, Kansas. And these are some odd films that try to teach middle schoolers or junior high kids about different types of punctuation. So here we go. This is colon, semicolon, and quotation marks.
The key to certain punctuation marks is remembering what they do. Your teacher can guide you in learning their various uses. What we're going to do in this film is help you to remember them. What is the difference between a colon and a semicolon?
I don't know.
Why do we put quotation marks around a direct quotation, but not around an indirect quotation?
I don't know.
Dumb dog. Don't worry. 10 minutes from now, you're going to know, and remember forever.
Say, what is that sign?
That's one of our sightseeing signs. It tells you that you can look forward to seeing things ahead.
What's that mark? 2 dots, one above the other.
That's a colon. The colon always tells the reader to look ahead. The colon is the official sign for see ahead.
See the following, colon. A curved road, a river, and a boat dock. Is that really what a colon indicates? Look ahead?
Yes, it always indicates read ahead, examples will follow, that sort of thing. Now let's go on. Here's a sign for inexperienced hikers. Remember, colon. Carry water, stay on the trail, and return before dark.
Does the colon always mean look ahead for a list of items? Like remember, colon, item 1, item 2, item 3?
Often, but not always. It isn't limited to the enumeration of items. The colon can also mean simply look ahead for an explanation. Be careful, colon. There are bears in this region. We write be careful, then the colon indicates look ahead for an explanation, which we then give.
Now I understand why we often use a colon after the salutation in letters. We write, Dear Sir, colon. The colon means see ahead, keep reading, message follows.
Exactly. The colon is a formal invitation to look ahead. That's why we use it to introduce long quotations, or to formally introduce any quotation. Dutch proverb, happy people are never wicked.
The colon indicates see ahead. Do we ever use anything else for look ahead signs? Semicolon, for example?
No. That's why you need never get the colon confused with any other punctuation mark. The colon is the only punctuation mark that means look ahead, see what follows. Now watch carefully, and I guarantee you will always remember what the colon indicates.
Now, what shall we call this mark?
Howard.
Howard? You can't call a punctuation mark Howard.
Well, then why not call it for its function? What it is a super comma.
A super comma. A mark that is a little stronger than a comma. Very appropriate name, super comma. I've decided. We'll call it a semicolon.
Why, for heaven's sake?
Because I thought of it, that's why.
Thus, the worst named punctuation mark found its way into the grammar. Today, students everywhere are baffled by this mark, a supercomma, the use of which is disguised by the name SemiColon. But in fact, there is little relationship between the semicolon and the colon family.
Hi.
Get out of here, twerp.
But all is not lost. The semicolon finds itself at home among the friendly little commas. He helps to sort them out. All in. And when a comma is too weak to do a job, the semicolon takes its place. Watch. Sometimes we wish to leave out the word that connects independent clauses. The comma by itself is too weak to separate them. The semicolon replaces it. In sentences that contain several commas, a semicolon will clearly separate the main clauses. Perhaps because they suspect that the semicolon is really a super comma, the commas regard it as a big brother. And among commas is where the semicolon feels that it really belongs.
Hello out there. This is your favorite DJ, Billy Fitz, coming at you from talk station QUOTE, where Billy Fitz never quits playing bits from hits with his mitts. Another fan to be heard from. Yes? She said she loved the show. And now it's time to play Quotations. Take it away, Dorothy Faye.
Most of us know we should enclose speech, or direct quotations, with quotation marks. But we've also been told not to use quotation marks with indirect quotations. Now, what in the world is a direct quotation, and how is it different from an indirect quotation?
I don't know.
A direct quote means you are directly quoting someone's exact words. You, the writer, have stopped talking and allowed someone else to talk. Well, it's as though quotation marks were the needle arm of a record player. The first pair indicate we are setting down the needle. We hear this speech.
The fog comes in on little cat feet.
Now the speaker has completed a sentence, so we end it with a period. And then we indicate where we pick up the needle. And that's all quotation marks are. Needle on, quote marks. Write the speaker's words.
Thank you for listening.
Punctuate. Needle off the record, unquote. Now let's try it on a tape recorder. This is the start button, and this is the stop button. We will call those buttons quote and unquote. He only says, comma, quote,
Good fences make good neighbors.
punctuate, unquote. Now that was simple, but I enjoy doing it with a record player. It's easy to remember that we indicate needle on when the quote starts and needle off when the quote ends or is interrupted. Let's try interrupting a quote and then continuing on.
The boy stood on the burning deck,
Wrote the poet.
eating peanuts by the peck.
Notice that the comma after deck and the period after peck both go inside the quotation marks. Any punctuation that belongs to the speaker's lines we put in before we unquote. Now, that not only goes for commas and periods, but also for exclamation points
Wow, he exclaimed.
and question marks.
Now, she asked.
Because those punctuation marks belong with the quoted words, they go inside the quotation marks. The only time you have exclamation points or question marks outside the quotation marks is when they do not belong to the quote. For example, I will quote a word.
Marbles.
The word I quoted, marbles, was not presented by the speaker as a question. But now I will quote it in a sentence where I, as writer, ask a question. The question was not asked by the quoted speaker. It's not part of the quote. The question is mine. I ask, why did you use the word
Marbles.
It's my question. Now the question mark belongs to my whole sentence and not to the quoted words or phrase. And that's the only time we put an exclamation point or question mark after the unquote mark. But when the person quoted is asking a question, the mark goes inside.
Do you understand? Question mark.
Asked the man.
I hope you do. Period.
Unquote. Commas and periods always go inside the unquote mark. Did you hear what the man on the record was saying?
Sure. He said something about standing on the peanut deck.
Now, is that a direct quotation?
No, I'm not quoting him exactly. I'm just telling you about what he said.
My friend, you have just described the indirect quotation.
I did? Good! What did I say?
You explained that when you're talking about something that was said, that it's not a direct quotation.
So?
So it doesn't require quotation marks. Watch. This is a direct quotation.
I think I understand.
What did he say?
He said he thought he understood. Did you notice? I could tell you what he was saying without using the needle to let you hear him. I was quoting him indirectly. Even you...
Sure. Direct quotation.
How did I get over here on tape?
That was a direct quotation. We heard his exact words.
What did he say?
He asked how he got over here on tape. An indirect quote. To say that, I didn't have to press the buttons and I didn't need quotation marks.
All right. Now everybody understands.
How do you know they do?
I know that you must be smarter than he is. Try practicing quotations with a tape or record player. You not only learn, but sometimes you get closing music.
was kind of wacky. Kind of wacky. It reminds me a little bit of the that Adventures in Grammar Galaxy, the Verb Star, with the music and the pacing. Thankfully, no really bad puppets. So there's that. Yeah, so I have others in that that series that I'll be showing as we go along. I like that they're kind of in this magical world that everything is. Yeah, I think they're trapped in some sort of limbo that they're all trying to get out of. It's reminiscent of the Cube, that Jim Henson film. All right, this film wants us to think about our brains and trying to put our brains and giving us empathy to think about how other people feel and what they're thinking. I know it's a foreign concept, but this is called Understanding Others.
Understand those with whom we work in our daily lives? Do we understand what makes Bill the way he is? Or Ernie? Or Betty? Do we ever try to understand another person's viewpoint? To look at things his way? What about you, Bob Stevens? Do you understand other people? You seem to be a regular guy. Most people like you. In the next few minutes, let's see how you act and how you think in regard to others.
Steady, boy. This is the big day. You got your acceptance speech ready?
Sure he does. Oh, by the way, Bob, do you have anyone in mind for the social column? Yours truly, for instance?
Why ask me? Ask the new editor.
Whom did you think she was asking? Or were you just being big about it?
Oh, look, there's nothing sure about this thing. Miss Alton could have chosen any one of us on the staff, even old Ernie here.
All right, citizens. This is Ernie Davis, fighting city editor of the Southwest High Banner. Fighting copy boy, you mean? You're wrong. Hey, look what just came in. Somebody should have closed the door.
Now, Bill, that isn't nice. Ben Curtis really surprised me this year. Well, I think he's done well on the paper. Don't you?
I suppose it's a good thing for a fellow like Ben to get in on a few things.
Bill's right. Ben Curtis doesn't belong here. And that corny stuff he writes. Whew. Look at that get-up he's wearing. Weird, to say the least. Well, what can you expect from his kind? As far as I can see, his folks are strictly no good. His father never held a steady job in his life. Just worked long enough to buy a bottle. And his mother. I remember when Mom used to have her come over to the house to do the cleaning. She was a lousy worker. The whole family, stupid, ignorant people.
You do kind of wonder why he's on the school paper, though. You'd think he'd feel out of place around people like us.
You know, I think you have Ben all wrong. I know he hasn't got much of a family, but he's a pretty sharp character. Makes doggone good grades, too. A lot better than mine.
And that's something special. Everybody makes better grades than you, Ernie.
Okay, wise guy, I want to tell you something. I have an English class with Ben, and he's nobody's fool. You know, I think the guy has real talent for writing.
For writing what? His name, you mean?
Oh.
I don't know very much about him. He doesn't talk very much. Here comes Miss Alton. Sit here, Bob. I want to make sure you remember me for the social column.
This is it. I'd be a first-class liar if I didn't admit to myself that I'm gonna get this job. Who else? Bill? Nah, he doesn't work very hard at anything. Betty? I doubt it. Maybe Jim Gardner. Yeah, it could be either one of us. But I figure I'm the one. Everybody else thinks so, too.
Good afternoon. It looks as if we have a good attendance for our press club meeting. First of all, I'd like to make a little statement concerning the selection of our new editor-in-chief. Since you did ask me to make the selection, I can only assume that you expected a selection based on merit, and not necessarily on personality.
That lets Jim out. He's the personality kid around here.
I appreciate your trust in asking me to appoint your editor. It was a difficult decision. However, I hope my decision will meet with your approval. Well, to end the suspense, may I introduce the new editor-in-chief of the Southwest High Banner, Ben Curtis.
Ben Curtis? What the... She must be kidding. That screwball? Why, even old Ernie, he'd be 10 times better.
Ben, will you come up and take over?
It's not fair, Bob. That creep.
Creep is right. Look at the poor sap. He doesn't know what to do with himself. Brother, how long does he think he'll last? Look at him up there. Does he really think we're going to accept him as editor?
So that's what you think, Bob. Ben Curtis is not the man for the job you think you should have. From your viewpoint, Ben is what was it? A creep? A screwball? Are you right, Bob? Is he really such an undesirable person for the job? Do you really understand Ben Curtis? There must be reasons for everything Ben does. Let's go back. Back to the moment when Ben entered the room. Let's look at this incident again, from his viewpoint.
Are they laughing at me? I'm sure they make jokes behind my back. They think I'm odd because my clothes are old and worn, and because I have to spend all my spare time working instead of horsing around like they do. My whole life is different from theirs. I couldn't even begin to fit into their group. I wish they did like me. Maybe I could just walk over there and let them know that I want to be friendly. No, I'd better not. Why ask for trouble? That Ernie Davis, he'd probably make fun of me. Better stay away from them. Stuck-up bunch of snobs.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Say, I've got a hunch about you.
What?
You're going to be the new editor.
Me, editor? Are you kidding? Me, editor. If only it were true. I'd give anything to be editor.
Hey, here she comes now. Next year's editor coming up.
Good afternoon. Looks as if we have a good attendance for our press club meeting. First of all, I'd like to make a little statement concerning the selection of our new editor-in-chief. Since you did ask me to make the selection, I can only assume that you expected a selection based on merit and not necessarily on personality.
If Bob gets it, I hope he gives me a chance. I'd do anything he asked me to do. It wouldn't have to be a very big job.
I appreciate your trust in asking me to appoint your editor. It was a difficult decision. However, I hope my decision will meet with your approval. Well, to end the suspense, may I introduce the new editor-in-chief of the Southwest High Banner, Ben Curtis.
Me? Oh, no. Is she making fun of me? No. She's serious. I don't believe it. It can't be true.
Ben, will you come up and take over?
I told you so, Ben. Go to it, boy.
What do I do now? I can't get up in front of them. What do I say? What do I do? Let me see. They're sure expecting something.
I guess there's no use in saying I'm surprised. You can see that.
Keep talking, Ben. Give yourself a chance to think.
I want to thank Miss Alton for this opportunity. I'll need all the help I can get from you. I'm open to suggestions on job assignments, so each one can work on the thing you like to do best. Are there any suggestions?
Now that we know more about you, Ben, we begin to understand you a little better. Why did they see you one way, Ben, and not as you really are? Is it possible that you do not give them enough basis for understanding? If we could see you from still another point of view, perhaps it would become even clearer. Miss Alton evidently sees in you something that many of your classmates do not. Let's go back again. Back to the moment when Miss Alton entered the room. Let's look at this incident from her point of view.
Well, here we go. This won't be easy. They're not going to like Ben Curtis as their new editor. Perhaps I shouldn't do this. I could still pick Bob Stevens or Jim Gardner. That's probably what they expect. Ben, though, is better qualified for the job. He's not only imaginative and writes well, but he's a hard worker and takes his work seriously. His ideas are just what this school paper needs. What a courageous youngster he is. With his background, it's amazing. The trouble with Ben is that he needs to join in more than he does. He has to let others know him, as I know him. If I do appoint him as editor, perhaps the job will make him do these very things. And it would definitely do something for the paper, that I know. Good afternoon. It looks as if we have a good attendance for our press club meeting. Still time to change your mind. No, I've made my decision. First of all, I'd like to make a little statement concerning the selection of our new editor-in-chief. Since you did ask me to make the selection, I can only assume that you expected a selection based on merit and not necessarily on personality. Look at them, all looking at Bob Stevens. He probably thinks he's got it. I appreciate your trust in asking me to appoint your editor. It was a difficult decision. Should I go through with it? Of course, I must. However, I hope my decision will meet with your approval. Well, to end the suspense, may I introduce the new editor-in-chief of the Southwest High Banner, Ben Curtis. There, I've done it. They don't seem to believe me. Even Ben, he doesn't believe it either. Why should he? Probably the first good break he ever had. Ben, will you come up and take over? Come on up and show them. You've got what it takes, but they don't know that yet. I wonder, though, are they too set against you because you're different? If only you'll meet them halfway, so they'll really get to know you.
There are many people like Ben, people with problems, people that we reject and ignore because we don't understand why they act as they do, and because they're different from our idea of friends. It's hard for the soft-spoken to understand the loudmouth. It's difficult to understand the shy if you're aggressive. Those who are physically attractive cannot always appreciate the loneliness of those who are not. What about the viewpoint of Bob and his friends? How can they reconcile their present attitude toward Ben with the fact that he will be the new head man of the staff? What should they do? And Ben, how realistic has he been in his attitude toward the others? What should he do to increase his chances of succeeding in his new job? What about Miss Alton? Do you think she did the right thing? What do you think?
So, wow. Yeah, I love that film. And of course, it would have been great if they had showed it in high school when I was there, where it could have made an impact, you know, to deal with the cliques and all the social nonsense that makes some people not considered to be part of a certain social standing. And it's crazy how much the parents of the kid play into it. It's like not about necessarily the kid. It's like, well, his dad has never really held down a job. It's like, wow. Anyways, gotta have a lot of films to show. Lots of great stuff here. This next one is one I haven't seen before, but it's kind of fascinating because it has this on the inside. It's a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction or successful civil prosecution of any trained film or videotape pirate who copies or makes other unauthorized use of this program. I don't know if the reward still stands. Maybe if you want to sell me out. I don't know. But yeah, they're pretty serious. But I haven't seen this film otherwise. I've seen rewards like that before, but that one is pretty crazy. 5,000, that's a lot. And basically what you would have to do is rat out your AV library at your school to get them in trouble. Or maybe there was some enterprising person who was doing, had a film chain or something that was digitizing these things, because these films probably went for a lot of money. This is part of a series that for people that work in the professional kitchens, in restaurants and hotels, etc. We've shown some in the past, Mr. Dish Machine Operator, and I don't know if I've shown short order cookery or not, but here we go. This is care and cleaning of kitchen equipment.
If you work in a modern kitchen anywhere these days, you must already realize you have partners in the work you do. If you're a chef, a cook, an apprentice, a maintenance worker, whatever your job, you know that it's all of you working together that makes for a kitchen's efficiency. But how often do you realize you have other partners, silent partners? The machines and the equipment that you work with. All right, so we're not all silent, but we don't normally have a voice. So I am going to speak for us machines with suggestions on how you can help us to help you in the jobs that we do together. How much help we machine partners are is something that you may forget. To mix this much batter by hand, how long would it take you? To hand slice this complete salami in those exact slices? Or to hand wash and dry all of these dishes? And so with others of us, we are valuable helpers, but only when we're operating at top efficiency. And that, partner, is where you come in, and the help we need from you. Now, one of our chief concerns, of course, is keeping us clean. Whether washing is your job or someone else's, it's important to wash items as soon as possible after use. Detachable parts are best done here at the sink, using a mild detergent and water solution. Then, after rinsing and sanitizing for the prescribed period, letting the parts drain and air dry finishes the job. Before cleaning those of us who are electrical equipment, there's one essential first step: unplugging. Or, if we're gas-operated, turning us off. A soft cloth or sponge with a detergent solution is best for the actual cleaning, and the sponge should be damp, but not sopping. It's a good idea to start at the top and work down to the base. Naturally, you'll take extra care around our motors and the electrical components. Rinsing the sponge in clear water and a final wipe down will get rid of detergent residue. Detergent or soap and water are fine for cleaning most of us, but there are exceptions. For instance, baking soda and water is often recommended to clean the inside and around the door seals of refrigerators and freezers. Others of us may require a variety of special cleaning tools. For instance, with deep fat fryers, special cleaners and a long-handled brush will make the job easier. Whatever the job, always use the right cleaning tool. It's the only way to do a really good job. Some of our parts, like filters, may be easy to overlook, but they too need regular attention. For an area hard to reach, a vacuum cleaner may do the job. So this cleaning job is done. It looks fine. But looks aren't enough. And that brings us to the second important part of taking care of us.
How are we doing?
Inspection.
Ready for inspection.
Each and all of us machines should be inspected routinely. There could be a problem just waiting to happen. First, of course, you examine all your electrical connections. Now, a cord like this could mean serious trouble, and it should be repaired or replaced immediately.
That's it?
Take another careful look. Is everything tightly secured? What about the blades? Are they sharp and free from nicks? You may find a problem that should be referred to your supervisor. Of course, some of these inspection jobs you'll do yourself. In other kitchens, maintenance personnel will have that responsibility. Door seals on heating and cooling equipment should be checked. Even a small leak will waste energy, and it'll make the equipment overwork. As it is, we partners of yours are already working harder than you may realize. Some of us operating at hundreds of revolutions per minute, others exerting a high degree of power over considerable periods of time. That's why the third part of the care of all of us is so important: lubrication. Lubrication levels should be checked regularly. For example, this one obviously needs attention. The maintenance man will normally take care of that problem. If you're unfamiliar with lubrication, you should not try to oil the machine yourself. The maintenance man knows the right lubricant to use and the right amount. Incidentally, whatever your job, it's wise to be on the lookout for leaks of any kind and to report them. We machines aren't infallible. Remember those three. Cleaning, working in a clean kitchen is more efficient and more pleasant. Inspecting, outward appearance can be deceiving. A careful second look may avoid trouble. And lubrication. That's important to keep us running at full efficiency. Those are 3 of the 4 basics for our care and maintenance. And fourth, that's how you use us as partners. Do you watch out for trouble signs? Overheating? That can be a danger signal. Are all our blowers and fans doing their jobs? It only takes a second to look. Do all our gauges read properly? If one doesn't, that should be checked out. Do you sometimes smell gas when working with certain equipment? Well, report this immediately. Do you sometimes get a signal of trouble? A tripped circuit breaker or a blown fuse? If so, the problem should be investigated before resetting the breaker. Does the equipment you're using seem to be working right? That you can usually tell better than anyone else. After all, you are the one who uses us regularly. You know us almost like a friend. If there's a sudden change in the sound we make, or the way we work, or the way we feel, report it. Sometimes with new equipment, you may be uncertain as to proper operation. Read the operator's manual or ask your supervisor, and never guess. Find out. In running any of us, work with us, not against us. Be sure not to overload. Put in the amount that we're made to handle. Always select the right setting and watch the time of operation. Any of us left on high speed for too long a time may be damaged. Some of us, such as deep fat fryers, require ample time for warm-up before we're put into use. And whenever you find one of us isn't working properly, don't wait. Tell your supervisor. Your good sense is the key factor, and we count on you to use it. Remember, too, that keeping us clean and well-maintained makes your job easier and safer, and it doesn't involve all that much extra work. Now, let's go over the main points again. Detachable parts should be washed in the sink. Before cleaning any electrical equipment, it must be unplugged. Or if gas-operated, the gas turned off. Cleaning is important as soon as possible after each use. Be careful not to get water in the motor or gearbox. Use the right cleaning agent and the right cleaning tool. Look for hidden parts that need attention. The best time for inspection is just after a thorough cleaning. Carefully examine all electrical cords. Make sure all exterior parts are secured tightly. Inspect all blades and cutting edges to make sure they're clean and sharp. Check your door seals. Be on the watch for oil leaks around the motor and gearboxes. Check all our lubricant levels and follow the lubrication schedule. Use us as we're intended to be used. Don't overload or run us at the wrong setting. Be sure to report any irregularity in our operation as soon as you notice it. And if you notice any equipment problems, tell your supervisor immediately. It's really a matter of your taking the time to care, and evidence of your overall pride is the job that you do. Whatever your job in the kitchen today, from the chef with years of experience to the youngest, newest employee, your kitchen equipment is there to help you. But how well we can do that depends on how well you do your part in our care, our maintenance, and our everyday use. After all, we're in it together, in one of the most important businesses in the world. And we are partners.
So, yeah, that's pretty great. I have not seen that one. The film just kind of ended, by the way. That's what I was looking at. I should say now, thank you, Havaham and William, for buying me coffee. I think you guys initiated buying me coffee when I didn't show up after the film strip had ended, and you had feared that I had fallen asleep. So thank you for that. That is one way you can support AV Geeks, is buying us coffee. Another way is you can hit like or subscribe, or you can share, you can comment. We'd love when you share and tell other people about what we're doing here, because I want to try to get eyeballs on these films, even though there's a $5,000 bounty on my head. So speaking of speaking for equipment, this next film is from some friends of mine who digitize films from their collection. It's Paul and Elizabeth Nelson, and they do, or did, screenings under the name Cinema Bomar in Houston, Texas. And this one is kind of wacky. It's a talking typewriter and his secretary. It's called Successful Secretary. Enjoy.
Sitting here day after day, I've become an authority on modern business. Things have been changing. It's a world of new companies, mergers, diversification, specialization, complexities. A world where executives must depend more and more on you, the secretary. Aspects of the good secretary is that she thinks like a man, works like a horse, and acts like a lady. Travel is one reason secretaries have more responsibility these days. Executives can be found almost anywhere in the world.
Right. I'm in aerospace. My boss travels all over the country. When he is here, I can't get in to see him. It's a contest between phones, meetings, or people waiting for appointments. I never get to fill him in.
Don't make it a contest. Let me do it.
You?
Sure. Instead of spending valuable time trying to tell him everything, just type everything. And by indicating priorities, he gets to the important things first. Put it on his desk in a prominent place, and then he can read it at his convenience. Remind him of those priorities. And you should mother the mail.
Mother the mail?
Sure. Not only put the important letters on top, but mark the parts he should read, and note the letters you can answer. You'll end up saving time for him, and for yourself.
I should have thought of that.
What is that?
A report, and it's the 6th time I've done it. Keeps coming back with revisions.
For good reason. Today's management works as a team of decision makers, and you're part of that team.
Which means I have to type team reports. My boss does a draft. He goes over it with other department heads. They make changes, and I have to reset my tabs and margins.
Next time, keep a copy of the report for yourself. Pencil in the tab settings, centerings, and margins, and if everything isn't changed on the next draft, you won't have to refigure so much. Maybe not at all.
Thanks. You know, sometimes I can use your paper lock scale to save time in setting margins and tabs. It's so easy to set up headings and columns because all your scales go in the same direction.
Uniform, like a built-in set of rulers. As easy as setting my margins, which are automatic. By the way, all my carriage control same way. Forward to release. Back to lock. Easy to remember.
Hey, you're terrific. How can I ever thank you? Want a rocket?
Well, no thanks, but thanks anyway. Back to business. Today, to be an expert secretary, you have to be a mind reader.
Oh, you're so right. I've just taken an hour of dictation. There's a rush letter and a memo that needs dates and figures from the Board of Education before it can be finished. I need a crystal ball to find out where they are.
Well, crystal balls are out. Try paper clips, part of your secretary's survival kit. Just clip the page when you have to take a rush letter and there's something you have to look up.
That's a glorious idea when I have time, but my boss dictates like students running at the final bell.
If he's that fast, use the accordion or the diagonal fold. The accordion fold for the incomplete, and the diagonal fold for the rush. I call that coding booby traps.
Lovely. What else should I put into my survival kit?
Everything you need to play the paper game. You know, the boss tries to get all the papers off his desk and onto yours.
And I try to get them back onto his to be signed and out.
That's how it's played. So when you go in for dictation, take along a couple of file folders to sort papers if there's an interruption. A small pad for phone calls and errands, your paper clips, your appointment book.
You're marvelous. How can I ever thank you? You get an A+.
Thanks. In today's business, you should expect changes. Think like management. See the whole picture and plan ahead. It means proofreading for sense as well as mistakes. It means not just typing notes for the meeting, but figuring how many will be at the meeting.
But my job is different from secretaries who work in large organizations. I don't mind typing long reports and letters, but for every patient, I've got to make a card record with degrees and footnotes. Do you know how much time I spend just lining them up?
Let me do as much of your work as I can.
Well, you can't type them for me.
No, but I can do just about everything else. Now, type in the information. Stop. Over on the left is my line finder. Just pull it forward. Turn the carriage knob toward you slightly. Type the degree sign. Put the line finder back. and turn the carriage knob slightly away from you.
Great. It clicks right back into place.
That's my line finder.
Whoops. I've hit bottom.
Don't worry about it. My plastic card holder and my paper lock let you type on the very last line. No. You're not using me.
What do you mean?
Just press my vertical spacer and watch. See?
Whee! Right back in place. How can I ever thank you? Oh, would you like some...
Well, no, thanks. But I'd like to tell you about some more shortcuts in your work.
That's very kind of you, but I've been secretary to the president of this corporation for quite a while now, and I'm sure I know all the shortcuts.
Well, I'm sure you do. I can see how well organized you are.
I should be after all these years. Now, if you excuse me, Mr. O is waiting to sign this letter.
You'll find it easier to straighten that carbon set on my nice flat surface. Hold it. Want to make sure your carbons don't slip? Release my line finder. Put in a half sheet of paper. Drop the carbons behind my roller. Now pull.
Well, all straight. I sometimes use an envelope myself.
I think you'll like the half sheet better. It is faster.
You seem to know so much. Show me a quick way to adjust for carbon copies.
I'll show you the quickest possible. No adjustment. You don't have to adjust with me. I've got an exclusive Royal Magic Monitor.
Magic monitor?
I'll have to flip my lid to show you.
Really?
My Magic Monitor actually senses the thickness of the carbon pack and adjusts for it so that...
My last carbon is as clear as my first, and there's no cutting through on my original. Amazing! Now for the envelopes.
Wait. Do it the easy way. Set the envelope right behind the roller. Pull the line finder forward and pull the letter out. Put the line finder back.
I'll have to address envelopes for the copies as well.
Change your margin instead of tabulating for the addresses. Don't take it out. Just roll that envelope back toward you. Insert the next one facing you under the first and type. Do the same thing for all of them. Roll the envelopes away from you. See? All stacked.
Just as I typed them, and in the right order for the copies. I've been doing the envelopes another way, but I have to agree that yours is faster. Well, I must admit you've saved me a lot of time today, young man. Well, whatever you are. Thank you very much.
Listen, you've spent enough time with her. Now it's my turn.
Okay, just relax.
Relax? How can I relax? I work for a crazy hat designer who designs crazy hats, and I'm going crazy myself with mistakes. Look at this. See, I left out the second O. Now I have to type the whole announcement over.
I'll show you how to put in that second O without redoing a single line. After you've erased the letters L-O-K, position your carriage to the last letter of the last word you typed correctly. Space. Now hold down the error correction key and strike your L. Release and repeat for each character.
I got it. I can't believe it. I got 4 letters into a 3-letter space, all spaced perfectly. You wouldn't even know I made a correction.
This, by the way, is one excellent reason why you should always proofread your work while it's still lined up. Remember, the expert works with a minimum of motion.
Well, your error correction key certainly saved me time. I would have been here all night redoing that announcement. Have a hat.
Well, nobody likes to work overtime.
Nobody likes to, but I've only been here for 2 weeks, and it seems to me that I'm always doing it. The senator is in meetings most of the day, so it's always near 5 o'clock when he dictates. Naturally, he expects me to transcribe that night and...
Why naturally? Sometimes we create our own problems. Maybe the senator simply wants to clear his desk.
But how do I know that?
The easiest way to find out is to ask. What are you doing now?
I do this to see when I'm coming to the end of the page.
I can do it faster, better, and easier with my line meter. You just set it, Put your paper in.
But what happens when I use government-size paper, which is shorter?
No problem. For shorter government-size paper, roll it to the broken line just below set. When you're almost to the bottom of the page, you get a 2-inch warning, 1.5 inch, 1 inch, and ½ inch. And when you see the word end, you're at the bottom of the page. No lines to pencil and none to erase.
Gee, I don't know how to thank you. Would you like to meet the senator?
Maybe later. Today, the typewriter is just one small part of the secretary's job. But your sales representative, the right supplies, and I, simpler and smoother. We're living in an electric world. More speed and less effort.
My boss is delighted with the new way I type his messages. I let you talk to him.
With my secretarial survival kit, I feel like a mind reader.
Mistakes are easy to correct with your error correction key.
With business changing as fast as it does, I guess I can always learn something new. You were a dream to teach me about your line finder. I found so many uses for it.
You were right. My boss never intended that I should work late every day. All I had to do was ask.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And don't forget to let your typewriter work for you. See you in the morning.
So what could have been a instructional film, promotional film for Royal typewriters, and this model of Royal typewriter that had a limited budget, so they couldn't really hire and spend the time lighting actors and actresses, and just did voiceover work with a bunch of mannequins. This could actually be a vision of the future, a post-human vision of the future when machines are basically communicating with each other, where bureaucracy is still going on, even though humans no longer exist, and memos have to be typed and printed out in paper because there is no internet. Regardless of what it is, it's dystopian. It's a dystopian future. That's all I see, and it creeps me out. And I saw that it creeps some of you out as well. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we'll eat lunch and we'll watch more educational and instructional films. And some of them might just be equally as horrifying as what we just saw. If you like what you saw, you can hit like and subscribe. You can share, tell other people about what we're doing. Buying us coffee is a great way to support us. That money usually goes to coffee, or it actually goes to buying maybe some better lighting and better webcam technology so that we are looking better and better. I don't know. You can go to evgeeks.com and see other stuff that we have online, and we also have DVDs for sale. So everybody, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Please rewind and love each other, and we will see you soon. Farewell.